And we're live.
Hey now, Dr. Dan here and the team. Glad to have everyone with us. Claire did my hair and makeup check earlier, so we're good there. We've got our Director of Football Operations, former Director of Football Operations. Here we go. Imagine we got a lot of secondary folk here, so we're real excited. Lots of information, lots of updates. The whole team is here. Let's go quickly. Assistant Soup Ed Services, Dr. Finneran. Assistant Soup Business Services, Karen Kimmel. Assistant Soup Human Resources, Steve Cyphries. The Tech Dude, Jim Klein. The Classified Woman, Robbie Amadeo. Pupil Services, Miss Angie Falk. And the boss of elementary, Laura Kintz. Imagine we got a lot of secondary folks here, so we're super excited. Amazing launch of 4th and 5th grades. We've got our elementaries back, and we're super excited to have our secondaries back March 22nd. Here we go. Next slide, Jim. Next Monday, we have an event. Please join us. We're all coming out of the pandemic and excited to be doing so. So we've got a panel discussion, March 15th, 6 p.m. right here where you are, where I'm seated. You have the best seat in town. You're in front row. Please join us. Got Dr. Tamanon, Dr. Videra, our board president, Ms. Cutbill, Dr. Finneran, counselors, Mona White, and Robin Lutsky. So join us Monday, 6 p.m. Next one. Always much appreciation to share. So much appreciation for our staff, the hard work. Nothing about this has been easy. We appreciate you. We appreciate the parents as well. And support and kindness mean the world. Next slide. Love this quote. We rise by lifting others, never more so true than now. Next slide. Kindness. Okay, so there was a very interesting article. There's a lot of research right now about why maybe some people are becoming less kind. Maybe you've noticed it in your world. I think I'm tired, a little worn out. We're all worn out. We're at that year mark. We want this to be over, right? We even had some emails to, ask us honestly not to talk about kindness, but I'm going to, and it's important. And I know we're exhausted, and I know we're fatigued. Please keep that kindness going. We have so much to be grateful for here, our health, our community, our schools, our staff, everyone working hard, the support we get from our parents, our children. So I know these are beyond challenging times. We are much closer, obviously, to the end than the beginning, and a lot of exciting developments. So please keep choosing that kindness. Small acts mean the world. A short email, shoot an email to your principal. You appreciate them, your counselors, teachers, classified staff, any of them. We so appreciate that. Next. Vaccines. We had a massive vaccination event on Saturday. It was so much fun. Albertsons Save-On Pharmacy partnered with us. They brought 1,100 doses. There's the board president and the tents there at the very beginning. The entranceway, it was, some folks are saying, Mr. Klein, that they can't get into the webinar. I don't know. Are we okay? We broadcasting? We got people out there?
Yeah, we've got 225 viewers right now.
Okay. Then they, I guess, keep trying.
Yeah, it might be people, it might be staff.
The vaccine was an amazing event. I wasn't prepared for how joyful it would be and emotional, and so many folks shared their stories, and we were so happy to be a small part of that. The only mass vaccination event that we've had in our 4-city area. And Albertsons Save-On was a great partner. There may be more coming in the future. We'll see. But this was for phase 1B, folks. And like I said, Save-On showed up with 1,100 doses. Next slide, Jim. So much fun. There's Ms. Kimmel there setting up early in the morning. Our team was here from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Awesome day. Next one. 35 of our staff worked the event, and 22 Save-On staff showed up. You've got Coach Harry Harris there, Coach Carrie Harris, sorry, on the left-hand side there. And on the right-hand side, one of my favorite pictures ever, Principal Sarah Exner and her son. Her son said, "Hold my hand and squeeze it when it hurts," as she got her shot. So very excited. Save-On was great to work with. Next one. All 1,100 doses were used. That was a big thing for me. to make sure that nothing went in the trash. We wanted everything used and ended up in arms, and we achieved that. Also on Saturday, the CDC shared that it was the highest number of vaccines issued in any one day, just under 3 million. The CDC has been shooting for 2 million a day, so to almost hit 3 million on that Saturday and be a small part of that was awesome. Next one. And covidactnow.org. Lots of people are always curious where I get my data from. This has been a very helpful website. I think it's updated several times a day. They have added a feature over the last month of the vaccination rates for LA County. And you can see fully vaccinated, we're at 8.2, and first dose, just under 18%. So all going in the right direction. With the first dose, you have between 50 and 85% of the protections, which is awesome. Next slide. We shared this earlier with TK through 5th grade, preschool through 5th grade on campus right now. Was such a joyous event. There's Mr. Scott Foley, principal at Lupin, and the Lupin Tiger. Next slide. 3,600 students on campus right now. We're in our 82nd day of instruction, which is so exciting. And of course, due to the hard work of our staff, the students, following the rules and taking all this seriously, we're at 0 transmission on campus, which is phenomenal. Next one. Just a rundown of what we've been doing those 82 days. We started back in October 5th with Angie Falk and her amazing staff. They brought 200 students on campus then. Next up was November 9th with TK through 2nd grade. Next up was December 7th with 3rd grade, then March 1st with 4th and 5th. So I know our secondary folks probably haven't paid a lot of attention to that, I understand. The good news is we've learned a lot by doing it those 4 different times. So I know this is the very first time for you. It's not the first time for us. We've done this 4 times now. We have a plan. We are battle tested. It's not a battle we wanted, but we're battle tested and we're ready. Next one. Safety, safety, safety. So gatherings, avoid those gatherings, although some of those requirements are loosening up, and the travel. The travel ban is in place. If you leave the state, you must quarantine for 10 days, and that'll be from school, from sporting events, those kind of things. So please take that very seriously. It can change. Things change quickly. It is in place right now, and I would be surprised if LA County made any changes on that. Certainly with spring break coming up, I think they are really asking folks not to travel out of the state. Next slide. I think we shared this last time, but the key decision makers, we really don't get to call many of the shots. I know I get lots of emails, please do this, please do that. LA County Public Health. In the middle, it's CDPH, California Department of Public Health, and the governor. They're really the 3 that call the shots, and we follow their guidelines. So the governor works closely with California Department of Public Health, and they hand out guidelines. And then LA County can layer on additional requirements for those. So we have been in the most restrictive county, in essentially the most restrictive state, which has been challenging. At times, it's given us plenty of whiplash. At times, there were some changes today. We're on the phone call with Dr. Farrar today. Next slide. Case rates. This is thrilling to see the case rate drop this much. It's horrible to look back on the case rate back in January, but we were at 126 cases per 100,000, and we've dropped down below 5, which is the lowest rate we've been this entire pandemic. In an entire year, that is our best number so far, which is phenomenal, and which is allowing us to be very close to that red tier and loosen up, and allowing us to open up our secondary school. So, and this didn't just happen by accident. This happened by folks taking this very seriously and following the protocols. So thank you to all. Next slide. Some of the things I've watched, I shared along the way. Covidactnow.org, again, a great website. The infectious rate, sometimes known as the R naught, that's your leading indicator along with the positivity rate. It got down to its lowest point about 0.7 this entire 12 months. It's inching back up, heading towards 0.9, which is still a very good number. You want it below 1. But I am watching that one on its way up a little bit. Has me a little bit concerned watching it. The other metrics are all very good. Next one, Jim. Positivity, phenomenal, 2.3, lowest rate in the entire pandemic, lowest rate by a bunch, and that's huge. You can see, I think we're up about 22% just 2 months ago in January, early mid-January. So to be down below 2% is awesome. And again, the infectious rate is about, if one person has it, how many people they infect. Positivity is what percentage of those tests are coming back with our folks being positive. So that's a great number and still trending down. Next one. Student schedule. So most of you are probably here with real specific questions about the secondary, and we are going to launch into that right now. Mr. Ryan Gleason, I'm handing you the baton. A couple broad elements. We're very excited to have secondary back. You can go to the next slide, Jim. We're very excited to have secondary back. We've worked hard on this schedule. We're excited about having folks back. This schedule we have has a lot of options and flexibility, which are phenomenal. We haven't seen in a Bell schedule anywhere. We understand folks want their kids on campus as much as possible, but we really are limited by how many kids we can put in those classrooms. And the fact that there's a 6-period day, and the fact that we have sports going on now. And it's not just one season of sports, it's all 3 seasons happening right now. So the degree of difficulty shifting from elementary to secondary is significant. So we have to watch our class size closely. We have to maintain that distancing, minimize the contact between students, which is why you have 3 cohorts and 2 classes each day. And of course, being mindful of the diversity of perspectives, comfort levels, that sort of thing. Ryan?
Yeah, just want to underscore, a common question we receive is, why do we need 3 cohorts when some do the math with respect to our class sizes? And one thing just to highlight is every student doesn't have a single class. They have 6 classes, and that creates a unique fingerprint when we're working with 4,000 students in terms of how we can get them all into safe groups. What I'll share with you is our principals and counseling staff at our sites have done the tireless work of going through student by student, schedule by schedule, class by class, to make sure that every single one of our classes, we're talking thousands, are all balanced across all 3 cohorts. Let's go next slide. So for the schedule model we selected, and we have been thinking about this for a long time and have been processing different models and continuing to evolve. One thing just to note is we are in Los Angeles County, and we have neighboring districts that are in Ventura County, and Ventura and LA County have different restrictions, so we have to follow those. The schedule we selected, it limits contacts, but prevents the safe distancing. And one thing that was really important to us is that students stay on pace with their peers, regardless of if they're in person or virtual. We want to make sure if a student feels symptomatic, there's no pressure to come onto that campus, that they can attend the afternoon virtual instruction, stay on pace, as well as we know families are at different places with their comfort for return. And we really wanted to maximize instructional time. So by having our schedule this way, affords us the ability to not have an extended midday cleaning period that would then draw back instructional time. And I already mentioned that this allows for students to stay on pace. If they're symptomatic, we want them to stay home. Next slide. So all students are placed in a cohort or stable group, A, B, or C. Yesterday, secondary principals emailed all students with their cohort identification. This allows for our students to stay in safe, small bubbles. And what's important to know, so we did a survey last week, and that was a data gathering survey. It was not a commitment. So if students, we want students to come up back to our campuses, but we also understand that some students want to stay virtual. So on any day where if you're in cohort A, that you are designated to be on campus, that student can opt to go to the afternoon instruction in lieu of coming on campus and stay on pace with their peers. You have that option on a daily basis. What you can't do is on a virtual day decide to come to campus because of how we're protecting that small cohort of kids. Now, cohort size is variable. Again, our principals every day have gone through again and again, schedule by schedule, class by class. This has been a very meticulous and methodical process. Some classes will be just amazing teacher-to-student ratios of 7 or 8 students to 1 teacher. And so really that can focus on that small group one-on-one instruction. But other classes will have up to about 17 students. And so the reason we need 3 cohorts is the variance. You might see, your child might come home and say, hey, I had 2 classes today, and there were 1 class is 8 students, 1 class is 9 students. And a thought that might come through your head is, well, can we have 2 cohorts? Just know there's another student going home and saying, I had a class of 17 and a class of 17. And it's for those reasons, just trust us that we need 3 for safety to meet the LA County guidelines, and we have looked at it exhaustively from every angle. Next, again, I just want to underscore, it's a common question. Can a student stay virtual if they're supposed to be in person on that day? And the answer is yes, without penalty. Next slide. So here's our schedule. The schedule's posted at LVUSDupdates.org. We'll try and have those really extended learning blocks in the morning. There's support on the daily for 20 minutes. In the morning, the periods are 185 minutes apiece, so you get 170 instructional minutes of live time. And then in the afternoon, the instructor will then repeat the lesson in a virtual context for their students. Periods based on the schedule for the day. So students are going to stay on pace regardless of if they're on campus or virtual in a given day. Next slide, please. All right, so just to be fully transparent with our SAFE survey data, when you're surveying close to 5,000–6,000 families, to get a high return on a survey is unique. We had about 85% return on the survey, so thank you for those who completed this. As you can see, the overwhelming majority of our families surveyed want to come back on campus, which is exciting. We're excited to have you back. And it also affirms for us why 3 cohorts are necessary, just going with that frequently asked question. Moving to the next slide. Instructional minutes are a question we receive at times. So in this model, we have both, you have virtual instruction, you have in-person instruction. Right now, before the March 22nd, every student will receive receives a minimum of 180 live instructional minutes a day. So every student receives a minimum of 180 per day right now. You multiply that out over a 5-day week, that's 900 minutes. When you take our new schedule and you factor in that students will be on campus 1 or 2 days a week, most weeks they'll be on campus 2 days, and you multiply out that live instructional time, it's between 830 and 860 weekly live minutes. So again, we want to highlight that this schedule, it allows for flexibility, it allows for safe distancing, it allows for students to stay on pace, and the reduction in live instructional minutes is minimized. It's important to know students are still expected to learn the full day. Right up till now, as you know, our teachers have had live instruction, and then students have worked on small group assignments or worked on independent assignments, and then they come back to that live instruction. They'll still have the same cadence, except there'll be concentrated live instruction during the instructional blocks. And when students are on their off time, they'll be doing that independent learning. So they will still participate in asynchronous learning in their non-live instructional time periods. Now, some classes, some teachers might choose to have students attend both blocks each day, and that will require a camera in the classroom. There are classes where that makes sense, and then there are classes that it doesn't. And the class where it makes sense is really unique to the context of the course that is being taught. What we found in talking to other districts who have gone through the camera model is it's really hard, it's for an educator, instructor, to try and manage the questions on a small screen and all the instruction through that modality while also serving the students who are present in class as well. We want those students, that small group of students in that live instructional period, to have full access to the undivided attention of our amazing instructors, as well as in the afternoon, our virtual instruction as well. Next slide. So special education, I want to kick this over to my colleague, Miss Angie Falk, to talk about special education and our new and the March 22nd return to campus.
Thank you, Mr. Gleason. I just want to do a short follow-up to the letter that I emailed to all special education parents last week, just reminding them that even though their child's schedule may be changing, it does not end the district's obligation to deliver the service minutes per your child's IEP. We will continue to do that. As Mr. Gleason said, there may be some classes who meet in the morning and the afternoon, and most special education classes will be doing that. So your child will be receiving instruction in the morning and a continuation of that instruction for most of the afternoon sessions. If your child receives a DIS service like speech, adaptive PE, occupational therapy, those will also continue to be provided per your child's IEP. And next week, your case manager of your child will be sending families all information related to when to log on to their classes, at what time. So be looking for those emails because they will be coming next week. Thank you.
All right, so the virtual academy schedule. So back in August, when we built, I just want to remind the community, we had 3 weeks to build and rebuild master schedules for a brand new school, the virtual academy, as well as our 5 secondary schools. That's a process that normally takes 5 or 6 months, and our amazing site staff pulled it off in 3 weeks. There were challenges in building a virtual academy from the ground up, in that there were students who were in programs like music and chorus and theater and in our special academies and in some of our signature programs that couldn't take classes in the virtual academy that met those pathway requirements. And so what we did was we mirrored those classes. In other words, we have virtual academy students who are attending class, who have been attending class with a teacher who is on campus in the on-campus model, which works great as long as everyone's in distance learning. And we knew all along that in serving that short-term goal, we would have to reconcile that when students return to campus. Lo and behold, we're at that point, and the way to reconcile it is to make sure that virtual academy families, again, we're doing this for virtual academy families, are able to still access the courses with the teachers that they have without being rescheduled. We have to have the bell schedules from the virtual academy mirror on campus. That's been a common question. Why does the virtual academy schedule need to change? It's so that virtual academy families who are in those mirrored courses can continue to do so. And so in the virtual academy, students will have their classes in the morning with their teachers. Again, no rescheduling across the board. But then in the afternoon, their teachers will be providing extended enrichment, extension, and tutoring opportunities that there'll be a custom plan by teacher. Those will be communicated by Ms. Winter and her team in the days to come. And so as a virtual academy family, as you transition to this new schedule, just know that your minutes, similar to the minutes we're talking about for the live model, are relatively flat. In fact, with the virtual academy, they increase the live instructional minutes that you have access to increase. So say all this to say, and we can go to the next slide, which offers the virtual academy schedule. Across the board, what we want to share with the community is no schedule is perfect. We can't wait to get back to normal, everyone on campus. And we will once it's safe and we're given clearance from our health departments who we take our guidance from to do so. And in the meantime, when we consider all the variables, kids have 6 classes, spacing, the need for flexibility, the need for students staying at the same pace, not wanting to reschedule all students, maximizing instructional minutes. This is the model that checked the most boxes. And what we know from watching our elementary students return is change is different. And this is a different model from what high school and middle school students are used to. However, once they're back on campus, what that will do for them and that new routine that they'll get into will allow them to thrive for these last 2 months of this year. We don't anticipate this being the schedule in the fall in any way, as long as we all continue to practice safe distancing, obtaining vaccines, and contributing to the overall herd immunity of our community. And with that, we'll turn it back to Dr. Stepp to, I think that's my slides, to connect on some frequently asked questions. These all were submitted through LVUSDupdates.org. And these are some that had surfaced.
Thanks, Ryan. A couple points to emphasize again. We feel strongly that this schedule meets our students' needs the best possible. We like a lot of the features of it that we don't see in other districts. And we've looked at probably collectively 50 different schedules. And we've studied closely what some of the high schools in Orange County have done that have been open since September and October. And nothing's perfect. And certainly we all want or emphasize or are more interested in different parts of it. We get that. But trying to meet all the different forces and parameters that Ryan talked about, really this is, after a lot of work, this is where we landed in that 6th period and sports and performing arts and connecting to the virtual academy. I think 40% of our virtual academy students are in those mirrored classes that Ryan talked about. And that's a significant population we want to take good care of. So we had some of the more common questions that came through. Here they are. If a student is sick on one of the in-person days, can they attend the Zoom that afternoon? We've talked about that before. Yes, that's one of the major features of ours. If they don't feel well, if they are uncomfortable, maybe symptomatic, please stay home. And then you'll jump in that same session with your teacher that afternoon. Cameras in classrooms, we talked a little about that. It is an option for our staff. We do have the cameras available. We talked a lot with districts that had used them, and something they found that was surprising was the on-campus students were concerned and complained because teachers would get caught in managing the camera and managing the students who are distant. So we really want our teachers and our students to be present. What's so powerful about the elementary schedule is with that reduced class size from 22 to 10, or 24 or 28 or 32 down to 10 or 8 or 12, it's really powerful. And we expect the same thing in middle and high schools. And so we want our teachers and students to be very much present when they're together. Teachers that are comfortable, and I know AP, IB, honors teachers are looking closely at it. It's a great force multiplier when that camera's on. And or allowing students in the morning session to join the virtual session for additional instructional time. Those two pieces of the schedule I haven't seen them in other districts, and they have the potential to dramatically increase the amount of interaction and instruction time our students have, which is very exciting. But we did hear from other districts that it was the students in the classroom sometimes suffered if we're not careful and purposeful and focused on being present. Class size, Ryan mentioned it, but I'll mention it again. Your child may come home and say, wow, I had a class of 8 or 10 in the morning session, and a class of 12 in the afternoon. But there are plenty of students, and Ryan said our principals and APs have gone through individually. We have a number of classes, at that 17, like literally cannot fit one more person. So each child has 6 classes they're a part of, right? And we have, I think, 15 or 1,600 students total that we're dealing with. So you can imagine it's a lot of classes, a lot of sections. And so there is great variety there. So just please understand, you'll probably have that experience, and your children will be telling you that. Embrace and enjoy the 8 or 10 or 12 students in the classroom. It's really, in many ways, a very wonderful and positive learning environment. If we choose in person, or if we chose in person, but our child decides, or we decide he or she doesn't feel comfortable with it, can they go back to virtual? Yes, of course. They can stay in the afternoon sessions and not be in those morning in-person sessions, 100%. How can we mitigate student athletes missing afternoon class time? Big question. A lot of our games practices start around 3 o'clock. And this is not a new problem. This happens all the time when kids have to leave athletics. This happened before the pandemic. And so we're in the same place, but actually with a little additional flexibility. So for starters, the teachers understand this. I'll do everything they can to take care of your child and be flexible. Second of all, on your way to the game, you can stay on your device with your AirPods in your ears and be connected as long as possible to that lesson. Obviously, we don't want you driving and being in a Zoom. That is a really bad idea, but that can help mitigate that as well. Will there be an on-campus orientation for 6th graders and 9th graders? Ryan, take it away.
Yes, most definitely. So they're in the 6th grade in the middle schools. Our principals have communicated out with our families to schedule some small groups coming onto our campus, to 6th graders, to find where their classes are, get familiar with the space. Dr. McClay and Ms. Exner at the high schools will be communicating out a similar opportunity for students in the 9th grade to come onto our campuses before the 22nd, see where their classes are, get to know and get familiar with the space so that they're fully comfortable on the 22nd. So know that the communication has been sent out or is going to be sent out, but our intent is to make sure that our spaces are open and available so that our students that are newest to our campuses are able to become familiar. Know that when you come onto those campuses for those events, the same safety protocols will be in place as will be in place when we're on campus. So there will need to be pre-screening and then on-campus screening. But that's a great way to practice and get students who might be a little anxious familiar with what the process will look like.
In addition, there'll be chances for 7th and 8th graders and 10th through 12th graders to come on campus just to track down where their rooms are, because they've been off campus for 12 months as well and don't know exactly where their classrooms are. So that opportunity will be there as well. But we're really looking at a celebration, a joyful celebration on the 22nd. And we know it's 3 cohorts, so it'll be the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, each of those days when your child arrives. We have some fun special activities planned. Next one. I have 3 children. 2 are in one cohort, the 3rd is in another. Please address how I can handle a quarantine situation. For example, but all 3 children need to stay home if one of their cohorts is quarantined. So this morning we had changes in the quarantine rule, which is we're very excited about, probably the biggest development we've had today, contributing to whiplash, but also a positive development. So LA County layered an extra rule upon all the schools here that Ventura and Orange County did not have. And that was if a student or staff member was positive in the classroom and there was no spread, we've had no spread in the classrooms, that whole class had to get offline for 10 days. Ventura County didn't have that requirement. Orange County didn't have that requirement. Today, LA County removed that requirement, which is huge and takes a major piece of disruption away from it all. We will be doing contact tracing and be very, very careful about that. Our nurses are well steeped in all the protocols and we'll be working closely on that. But the good news here, and I think this was Maria Nikolakakis who had this question. No, we are not quarantining classes anymore in elementary school or in our middle and high schools when they open up. So that is a huge piece that will help allow for smooth continuity in our classrooms. Parking on campus? Yes, absolutely. At our high schools, for our students with driver's license, I think Calabasas is going to be selling parking spots for a reduced rate on Monday the 15th. Agora has already sold them and their ASBs are examining how to handle that. All those funds from parking go to the ASB, the Associated Student Body. They're for students. The students in ASB make the decision how to spend those funds. They don't go anywhere except stay on campus for the children. So Monday the 15th for Calabasas, Ms. Exner is sending out information and Dr. McClay will be sending out information also. And my understanding is Agora has already sold this. That is one of the silver linings in this situation. Plenty of parking. Next slide. Child travels outside the state. Are they allowed to attend classes in person or do they have to quarantine? Yes, the quarantine rule we mentioned before, it's worth mentioning now. The quarantine rule is in place. If you leave the state, you must quarantine, and this does impact sports and does impact games. So you need to be thoughtful about that. Our seasons are very different. Football teams have a game on the 2nd or 3rd, and they have a game on the 9th or 10th. We're never playing football during spring break, and here we are trying to get in as many games as we can before their season has to close and shut down. Same with basketball, volleyball, all those sorts of things. So that rule is still in place. The 10-day quarantine must occur. It impacts classrooms and sports. My child wants to stay in distance learning and not be on campus. Why are they in a cohort? That's because you or your child may change their mind. 2, 3, 4 weeks into it, you may say, I enjoy being on the distant part. I enjoy being in the afternoon, but I really want to get back on campus and see some students. So that's why we still have you in a cohort. So if and when you're ready to come back on campus and be in those classrooms, you are in that cohort and you have your spot. Are there health screenings for middle schools and high schools? Yes. We are working on a video right now. We'll have out sometime next week, which will detail these safety protocols, the vast majority of which we have perfected from our elementary schools and will be implementing in middle school. There is a health screening in the morning. Middle school parents will need to run that on your computer or your phone. And then before your child can leave the car, you need to show that to one of our staff that it's been completed. They ask questions about exposure, are you symptomatic, have you traveled, anyone in the family tested positive, that sort of thing. High school students can do it on their own, and as they're entering campus, they will need to hold up their phone and show that to our staff at the entrances. I think our high schools will have 2 or 3 entrances because obviously got a large number of students. So some of elementary school health screenings have been very critical and very helpful for us in contact tracing. So we'll be doing them. Next slide. Ms. Kimmel.
Yes, I just wanted to share with everybody, we will change a little bit on the 22nd when we have more students back on campus. All secondary students will have the opportunity to stop at the cafeteria window when they leave campus at the end of their session to grab a to-go bag with meals in it. And it will have a couple of days of meals, so that's free for anybody who wants it. Elementary students will continue having the meal bags available in the ice chest outside their classrooms. For distance learners, anybody that's not on campus that particular day, you can have your parents go on campus on any middle school or high school campus, morning pickup between 7 and 8 a.m. and afternoon pickup from 12 to 12:30 p.m.
We are completing a student-parent agreement for our secondary students. Is it for middle schools or high schools only, folks? I forget.
It'll be both middle school and high school, Dr. Stepnowski.
Great. The plan here is to clearly delineate our expectations. I've said it many times, like no time before, the choices we make impact those around us in a global pandemic. So we have a contract we'll be sharing out that we need students and staff, students and parents to sign, to commit to, and it's really just a sharing of expectations, collective expectations on how we will behave and take care of the health and safety of our classmates and our staff. I think there's the health screening information there on the right-hand side. Anything else from this slide, folks?
Just the emphasis on please not sending your students to school when they're ill. It always matters, but it certainly matters more now than ever before. So if your child does become symptomatic at school with any signs of illness, we will expect an immediate pickup of that child.
And we realize, as Mr. Gleason said earlier, there's high stakes, advanced placement, international baccalaureate, are many of the vast majority of students looking for this 4-year college acceptance. So we understand that, the children want to be in class, want to be with their teachers, don't want to miss anything. And that's why we have that afternoon session. If you're not feeling well, or there's any concerns or issues on that health checking, please stay home and you'll be in that class later on that very same day. Next slide. Ms. Kimmel.
Sure, I just know that some of the parents have been paying attention and joining our webinars, and this is maybe new for some of our secondary parents that are getting ready to send your students back to school. So just want everybody to rest assured and know that our district has taken this very seriously. Back in April, we started purchasing protective equipment for staff and students. We've invested $1.8 million throughout our district, everything from sanitizer, gloves, shields, masks, cleaners and wipes and signage. And we've got a few examples on the next few slides if you can share those out. Every classroom is fully equipped with disinfectant, microfiber cloths, antimicrobial wipes that the students can access. If they want to wipe down their desk for extra comfort, that's always welcome to them. They can do that. Face covering so that we can make sure everybody has a face covering whenever they are in the classroom or on campus. acrylic dividers for the instructors, and hand sanitizers when they come in the classroom. I think we've got a few examples if we move to the next slides. Oh, wanted to share out because we have noticed that there is a little bit of a concern on the acoustics when the teacher has the mask over their face. So we invested in speaker systems for our instructors if they feel they need that for their, to enhance the voice in the classroom. So that is available for all our teachers. We have an example here of a rolling acrylic divider that teachers also have the ability to use if they would like. And these are also seen in our counseling offices and SPED rooms. This is a picture of the thermal scanner that we'll be using at all of our secondary sites. This can scan a number of people walking together, checking for temperatures. And also in the elementary, we are checking temperatures as students exit their cars to make sure that everybody that is coming onto campus is safe. I think this is a sample of lining up to come into class. You know, we're just going to ask that students continue to be respectful, keep that 6-foot distancing, whether it's waiting to get into a classroom or while you're in the classroom. That 6-foot rule is going to be something that we are going to enforce and ask everybody to be mindful of throughout the day. Again, and every time you enter a classroom, you know, hand sanitizer is expected all the time. And these are just some examples of our classroom seating. In our elementary classrooms, we removed desks to ensure the 6-foot distancing throughout all of our classrooms at the elementary level. The secondary classrooms, since the students will be switching and they're from one period to the next, we have kept the 2 sets of desks in the classrooms, but labeled them with the blue tape and the orange tape. So the blue tape will be for the odd period classes, the orange tape for the even period classes. And you can see how that will space out, and they'll continue to keep their distancing when they switch from one period to the next. And just some additional, purchases that we've invested in. We purchased outdoor umbrellas to create outdoor additional learning areas. If a couple students, want to move outside and work on stuff outside from it, that's more like an elementary would have those options, but we do have them throughout the secondary campuses as well. So that may be something that the teachers will take advantage of. And all the elementary classrooms do have hand washing stations. We purchased portable ones if they were not already equipped. If you haven't been on campus in a while, you will see a lot of new signage. So reminders that wherever you go, you have to wear a mask, that you can't enter without a temperature check. If you're a visitor, we ask that you have an appointment and that you scan and do a health check for yourself as a visitor before you come onto campus. So everybody entering our campus has to be safe and healthy, and we will use that to protect all of our staff and all of our students every day. Again, one of our investments early last spring was the electrostatic cleaners on every campus. This is an amazing system that within 2 minutes can completely sanitize a classroom. So we still have the folks doing the deep cleaning, but then this will come in and this gets into every nook and cranny with killing all of the viruses and any bacteria that is in that classroom. And again, last fall, we made a large investment in our HVAC updates. So not only did we have all of our custom filters replaced, thorough duct and coil cleanings done, we invested in the ultraviolet cleaners. These cleaners were installed in every classroom HVAC unit. So not inside the classroom, but on the unit that services every single classroom. And that destroys 99.9% of all contaminants that would enter that classroom, whether it is allergens or viruses or bacteria. And that's been a huge investment and improvement in the air quality for our campuses.
Sports is back. We're excited for that. And we are also exploring possibilities for our performing arts. LA County is very restrictive on band right now, but choirs and dance can practice and participate safely and from a distance. But sports are back, and we're very excited about that. It's a challenge running all 3 seasons at the same time, and again, like no other time before, choices kids make can impact their entire team. We don't want kids to miss games, but if we end up with positive cases, that can happen. And again, these aren't decisions we are making. These are county and state guidelines. These are rules handed to us, and we have been following with faith and fidelity. Next slide. I think this is Mr. Seifers.
Yeah, absolutely. As Dr. Stepp mentioned, sports are back. We are so thankful for all the hard work of our coaches and student athletes to get to this point in time. We led this off on, I think, February 24th, actually, was the first cross-country match of any sort, of sport of any sort, since March 11th of last year. So big moment. A couple more big moments coming our way. Last Saturday, we had our two high school teams scrimmage one another, which was a lovely event. And then this Saturday night, we actually have Agora High School's football team is featured as the night game of the week for the LA Times. So that can be watched via streaming for those who are not parents or guardians that can make it in person. In addition, we are looking at now indoor sports. There are significant weekly, if not more, testing requirements required for basketball, volleyball, wrestling, and cheer to participate indoors. More information to that for families participating in those sports will be coming your way in future weeks.
All right, so we can't say this enough. We know that there's a lot of transitions right now. We know that our families are navigating a lot as we come out of this pandemic. There's a lot of feelings. So please know that our counseling center continues to be available. You can schedule confidential free appointments. They're for staff, they're for students, and they're for parents and families. So if you find yourself in need, wanting to talk through anything and or set up some appointments, go to community360.me and you can set up an appointment with just a few clicks. Also on that website, you'll notice there is a library available to all families, resources, and also, if we could click on the next slide, also tutoring and activities for our students. So, our high school students, we've had several hundred high school students who have volunteered for the bulk of this year to give their time to the community to create events, activities, and tutoring supports. It's really just heartwarming to see how generous they have been with their time. And through all this whole presentation today, I just want to highlight just the collaboration and working together and staying positive, how all of those things have really helped LVUSD be at the leading edge. So huge hats off to our staff, our faculty who have made this have worked with us to make this possible for students to return, for our counselors for programs like that are on your screen right now, and for our students for being so generous and flexible with their time so that we all could get through this together. And with that, go back to Dr. Stepp.
And we are excited about the 22nd, but this is a lot. This is a lot for me. This is a lot for the team. This is a lot for your children. So watch yourselves and watch your kids. There's a lot of things opening up quickly. The health metrics are very positive. It's very exciting, but pace yourself as well. On Saturday, we had 1,100 doses of vaccine, and then I ran over to the Agora Calabasas scrimmage. I hadn't seen that many people in 12 months. I hadn't been that busy in 12 months. So it was exciting, it was fun, and it was exhausting also. So same for you and your children. This is going to be a lot. So pace yourself, take care of yourself, look after them, lift each other up. We're excited about it. We've done this several times, so we've got a good feel for how it will go. We're excited. Things do keep changing though. There's a lot opening up, a lot happening, and a lot changing quickly. So we are about to shift from the purple to the red. Could happen today, may have already happened, may have happened during this Zoom, may happen tomorrow, or definitely by Tuesday. So when that shifts, that will shift some of the things for our sports. Football may not need to test anymore. We may be able to shift our focus to volleyball, wrestling, and basketball. So, it is confusing. It is a lot, and things keep changing. But overall, things look super, super positive. And we are going to be super busy between now and March 22nd. And we look forward to seeing lots of smiling faces on our middle schools and high schools. Team, did I miss anything? All right, we got this. We're excited.